Good evening, October 13th, 2021. Let's take a look at what Bitcoin is doing here. So I gave two potential scenarios yesterday. First being that 5 ended here, and we could very well be proceeding downwards in an ABC fashion there, down to around this 49.9. I was in no way suggesting shorting. This candle had happened at that point, and there was certainly a possibility that it would go up from there, and that possibility has materialized here. So the second scenario I provided seems to be probably what's happening here, where we've got our first wave and second wave in a diagonal. We're working on the third right now. We'll get a fourth, probably overlapping with that first wave, and then a fifth up. And this region really ideally is where it's going to top out to end this wave up here. So that seems most likely to me. Obviously, it could do kind of anything that you can imagine. It doesn't always do exactly what you anticipate. So we could see kind of a breakout and then down or something. But honestly, the more we go up without a substantial retrace, the more worried I become, especially as we approach this 1.0 extension here. And this is based on from our low all the way back here at 28.8, right? We've got the low down here, 28.8K, drawn fib extension up to the end of the first wave here at about 53K. Then we had that correction downwards into this area, and now what I've been saying is we really should see 5 waves up to complete. I was hoping right here around the 618 would make it very clear if it completed there and then came down to the 382. That's kind of my ideal situation, but I've been saying since this third wave extended right here that it looks like we might get an extension on this first wave up here to the 764. This does potentially have some implications where this could just be a large ABC correction and then it could crash down from there. I don't think that's likely. However, if we get all the way to this 1.0 extension, that does become more likely. The 764 can still be considered an extension on this this first wave here. But beyond that, without a retrace, and it really looks more like an ABC, and that just might be the top there that we get at like 72.7, and obviously we do not want to see that. So I'm going to be much happier if we see this top out before the 764 or around the 764 at 63K. And based on where the 3 is here in yellow and the 2 is here in yellow, this micro 2 and 3, this red box is the target for 5. And I've had that on here since 3 topped out there. So this is basically 60 all the way up to 63. Anywhere in that region is kind of an ideal top for 5. And then we'll have to see how the correction, assuming it does play out, we'll have to see how the correction fully plays out. Ideally at that point, we kind of hold like this 0.5 area around 53.6. But we could potentially extend it downwards a little bit down here to 49.9. I mean, once that's topped, we'll really have to draw a fib and kind of say like, okay, this 382 here is a pretty ideal place. The 0.5 potentially is good, but I mean, it could come down all the way to the 618. I wouldn't like to see it come all the way down there, but it's possible, and it would still be relatively okay. But we'll deal with the ideal scenario first, and then go from there. As the correction develops, we should be able to get a better idea of where it's going. And by that I mean, as this correction developed here, it was pretty easy to say, here's our A, here's our B, and so if we're going to go down for another leg, which we did, then C should end up in this target box right here. And we did, in fact, end in that target box, and then we proceeded upwards. So we'll do the same thing as this micro A, B, and C develops. As we have A and B put in place, we can get a pretty good target for C and kind of tighten up where this should end. But at the moment, I view anything between 49.9 and 53.6 as a very good place to enter this, because the end scenario then, or not the end scenario, but the next move from there, from whatever this correction happens, the next place that this should go, if this continues impulsively, which it looks like it's going to, it should go to about 84K at the 1236. And then after a bit of a pullback, we should actually extend all the way up here to about 100K. And even then, that's not going to be the end of the bull run. We'll have another leg after that, but we may see a more protracted, substantial pullback from there in a wave 4. So anyway, that's kind of the path that we are continuing on here. And I think it's important to keep tracking these micro moves to see how they shape up and how they affect the larger time frame moves too. But at the moment, all of this is looking very, very productive. Again, unless we can just continue pressing up here with no retrace, I'm not worried about what's happening in the short term here. It looks absolutely fantastic. Really, really, really well set up to see a pullback in the 50s and then just skyrocket from there in the next wave. That should be the strongest wave that we see in this leg. So we should see a really nice move off of that next pullback. All right, I think that pretty much sums it up. So we'll just continue to see how this shapes up. And like I said, keep in mind that this is very likely going to give us some choppy action here as we proceed upwards. Let me just label this as 1 and 2 and see if fibs can tell us anything here. Yeah. So really looking for 1, 2, 3 is probably going to top out here relatively soon. Maybe the 1382, something like that. It might have already topped. It should probably press a little higher, but maybe right around there for 3, 4. We'll probably see, like I said, come down and kind of overlap with 1, and then finally 5 will likely press up here to about 61-ish, maybe up to 63. We'll see how it ends up playing out, but that's kind of what I'm expecting at the moment. Something along those lines right there. To finish us off in this ending diagonal. All right, and let me just put this down to like a sub-micro, because that's really what it is. It's a very, very micro move within this 5th wave that we're looking for here. We're looking for these 5 waves. All right, guys, good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.